We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis Meseches Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 37b. On the previous Amud, Rava was trying to prove that if you do a lakicha al yedei davar acher, you take something through something else. Let's say you have a cloth and you use that to pick up the lulav, that's still going to be a lakicha. So the Gemara brought a Mishnah in Para. The Mishnah in Para says that if when it comes to the ashes of the Para Aduma, if they fall in the water, which you're going to create the mechatas to purify someone who's tamei meis. So if they fall in there from the tube by mistake, that's a problem because it has to go in there b'miskaven. You have to have kavana to put the ashes in the water. So the Gemara now makes a diak. Hayipilohu kosher. If you do it with intention, if you take the afer, you take the ashes of the Para Aduma, and you're holding it in the tube, and you put it in the water, that's going to be kosher because you did it intentionally. So but why should that be kosher? Again, it says you take it and you put it in. Doesn't it have to be direct? This is al yedei davar acher. Here you have it in a tube. Elalav shmamina. So Rava says, here's a proof. You see from here, lakicha al yedei davar acher shma lakicha. That if you take something through something else, that's considered a lakicha. And the Gemara continues, V'yama Rabba, and Rabba says, Lo lado tzinish lulav b'oshana. A person should not take the lulav and insert it after he binds together the hadassim and the aravos. Insert it in there. The dilma nasri tarfi vavi chatzitza, because maybe what you'll do is the leaves of the hadas and the arava will come off, and now they'll be between the lulav and the hadas and the lulav and the arava, and that's going to create a chatzitza. It's going to create a separation. That's going to be a problem. It's not going to really be considered bound together. The Rava says, he argues with Rab, and Rava says, min b'mino eno chotzitz. If you have the same species, the same min, that's not going to create a chatzitza. So if the leaves detach of the arava or the hadas, and that creates a chatzitza, that's not called a chatzitza because it's the same min. V'yama Rab, and Rabba says, lo ligos inish lulava b'hoshana, the mishtayri hutzav avi chatzitza. Similar idea. A person shouldn't cut. Let's say you've done the entire lulav and you've bound it together with everything. You shouldn't cut it at the bottom because maybe some of the leaves of the lulav are going to become detached, and again that's going to become a chatzitza. As Rashi over here says, the mishtayri hutza shalulav telushin min hashedra b'socha eged. What's going to happen is they're going to detach from the spine of the lulav. Lefi shalei halulav aruchim mechubar mitachas hashedra v'nimshachin v'yon keneged govo shalulav. They come all the way from the bottom all the way up. If you cut from the bottom, nimtzu chatuchen min hashedra v'nisharin ba'aguda. So that's going to be a problem because again, it's going to be cut, it's going to be detached, it's still going to be there. Why are you trying to cut it? Rashi says, it's too long, it's too much larger than the arava. You want to cut it from below, don't do that while it's in the binding. You should take it out, cut it, and then put it back again. The leaves are going to be detached, and they're going to cause a chatzitza. And Rava responds with the same response. Rava Amar, and Rava says, min b'mino eino chotzitz. If you have the same min, that's not going to create a chatzitza. V'yama Rab, and Rava says, hadas shel mitzvah asur lahariach bo. If you have the hadas that you're using for the mitzvah of daled minim, you can't smell it. Esrog shel mitzvah mutter lahariach bo. But the esrog that you're using for the mitzvah, that's okay, you're allowed to smell it. What's the difference? My time, and what's the reason? Hadas de l'reicha koi, because the hadas is made to be smelled. So ki axia me reicha axia. So when you designate it for the mitzvah, you're thinking in your mind, I'm not designated to be smelled anymore. But esrog de l'achila koi. Esrog is something that's made to be eaten, not to be smelled. So ki axia me achila axia, when you designate it for the mitzvah, you're saying you're not going to eat it, but you are in fact okay to still smell it. V'yama Rab, and Rabba says, hadas b'mechubur mutter la'ariach bo. Let's say you have a hadas that's still attached to the ground on Shabbos, you're allowed to smell it. Esrog b'mechubur asur la'ariach bo. If you have an esrog that's attached to the ground, you can't. My time, what's the reason? Hadas de la'ariach koi sharis leilo asu l'migzieh, because a hadas which people normally smell, if we allow you to smell it, doesn't mean you're going to end up cutting it. But esrog de la'achila koi, but esrog which people normally eat, isharis le'asi l'migzieh. If we're going to permit you to smell it, you might actually come and end up cutting it. V'yama Rab, and Rab says, lulav b'yamin ve'esrog b'smol. You should carry the lulav in your right hand and the esrog in the left hand. My time, what's the reason? Hani tzalasa mitzvahs v'hai choda mitzvah. Because in the right hand, you should have more mitzvahs. You have 3 mitzvahs over there, the lulav and the hadas and the arava, and the esrog is just 1 mitzvah, so you put in the left. Amar le Rabbi Yirmiyah or Rabbi Zreika. Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Zreika, my time lo mevarchinon ela al netilas lulav. Why wouldn't we make the bracha? Do we only mention the lulav? So hoel v'gavoa mikulan. The reason is because it's taller than everything else. So the Gemara says, why don't we just lift up the esrog higher than the others and make the bracha on the esrog? So Amar Lei, so he said to him, the reason is because when it grows, meaning on the tree of the lulav is larger than everything, and therefore the bracha goes on the lulav. Take a look at Rashi over here, asur la'ariach bo. It says you're not allowed to smell the hadas. This is talking about when you're doing the mitzvah. Degamrin and misukah, because we learn from Sukkah, the alfina and parakama, chol shem shamayim alatze sukkah le'asur behana kol shiva. It says by the wood of the sukkah, that it is Asr B'Hana all 7 days of Sukkot, Hol V'Huksul Mitzvah, because it's designated for the mitzvah, so it's Asr B'Hana. So too over here, it's going to be Asr from Hana. Meirecha Shu Derech Hana Aso Aksiyeh. And the idea is, what is it Asr? What Hana? The normal Hana. So the normal Hana, when it comes to Hadas, it's to smell it. That's why smelling is a problem. That's not true by an Esrog, because the normal Hana is to eat it and not to smell it. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, V'Heichon Hayu Minanin. Where do they shake the Arba Minim? B'Hodu LaHashem Tchila V'Sof. This is talking about in Hallel, when you say Hodu LaHashem at the beginning of Hallel and at the end of Hallel. Rashi over here says Tchila V'Sof Hodu Shebetchilas HaPerek. There's a Hodu LaHashem Kitov that you say at the beginning of the Hallel Perek. B'Hodu Shebesof HaPerek V'Sof HaHallel. There's also a Hodu that you say at the end, that's at the very end of Hallel. You shake it in both of those places. Min Hodu at Sof HaHallel Choda Parshasa B'Minyan Parshio Shall Sefer Tehillim. Rashi points out from Hodu till the end of Hallel is all one parsha in the parshios of Tehillim. And then also, V'ana Hashem Hoshiana Divrei Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel also say you shake it by Ana Hashem Hoshiana. Beis Shammai Omrim, Beis Shammai say Af b'Ana Hashem Atzlichana. You also shake the lulav. You also shake the dalad minim by Ana Hashem Atzlichana. Amar Rabbi Akiva said, Sofa Yisib Rabbi Gamliel of Rabbi Yoshua. He said, I looked at Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua. Shekol ha'am hayuminanin es lulaveyan. Everybody else was shaking veheim loninu, but they did not. Elabana Hashem Hoshiana. They only shook by Ana Hashem Hoshiana. That's a proof that you only do it over there and not by Ana Hashem Atzlichana. And the Gemara says, Ninua mandakar shmei. Whoever mentioned anything about shaking, why did we ever say that you're chayiv to shake the daled minim? That suddenly we're asking, where do you shake it? How do we know you're chayiv? So the Gemara says, Hasam Kai, we're going on what we said over there in the Mishnah earlier. We said, Kalulav sheyesh bo shlosha tvachim kedeilin anea bo kasher. We said if a lulav is 3 tvachim and enough to shake, it's going to be kosher. So therefore it's clear that you're supposed to shake it. And so now we're saying, where exactly in the Hallel are you supposed to shake the daled minim? The Gemara says, Tanan Hasam, we learned in a Mishnah over there, this is a Mishnah Menachos, Shtei Halechem u'shnei kivsei atzeres. Let's say you have the Shtei Halechem. We're talking about the Shtei Halechem that you bring on Shavuos, and also there were 2 sheep that you bring on Shavuos as well. So Keitzad u'osa, how do you shake them? Meiniach Shtei Halechem al gabe shnei hakavos. And what you do is you take the two loaves and you put it on top of the 2 sheep. Umeiniach yado tachten, he puts his hand under them. This is talking about the Kohen, umeinif, and he waves them. Umolich umevi malim, or he waves them forward and backward and up and down. Shenemar, like it says, Asher hunaf, Asher huram, has to be waved in the different directions and lifted up and down. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Molech umevi, you go back and forth, Lamisha arba rucho shaloi, meaning you go in every direction to show the one who controls all 4 corners of the world, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And further, Malo Morid, you have to lift it up and down, Lamisha hashamayim v'aretz shalo, to the one who owns the heavens and the earth, again HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Gemara says, B'ma'arava masnu hachi, in the West, they used to teach it as follows. Amar Rabbi Chama Barukva, Amar Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chama Barukva said in the name of Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina, Molech umevi, the reason why you go in the different directions, Kedei latzo ruchos ros, that's to keep away the bad winds. Malo Morid, the reason why you lift it up and bring it down, Kedei latzo, or to lolim rim, that's to keep away the harmful dews. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Avin, Rabbi Yossi Bar Avin says, V'itema Rabbi Yossi Bar Zavila. Some people say Rabbi Yossi Bar Zavila says, Zos Omeris, this proves. Take a look at Rashi over here. First, Lamisha Arba Rucho Shalom, Mitzvah Zu Anu Osim, Lishmo, we're doing this mitzvah for the one who controls the 4 sides of the world. Kain Mara B'Hanafasa, that's what you're showing when you wave. And then it says, Zos Omeris, this proves, Had Rabbi Yossi, Deka Amar, Tenufo, Tzeres, Ruchos Ros, Utalolim Ram, meaning this statement of Rabbi Yossi, that the waving is meant to prevent the harmful winds and the harmful dews. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph.